friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Today's Wednesday. I went from a crazy high yesterday of finishing up that old Gibson guitar. As you all know, I've been working on it for a very long time, and it just wouldn't let me finish it. Well, I got it finished, and it is just as perfect as it could be. So I thought, well, while I'm on a roll, let me go ahead and finish up this mandolin. So I hurried up and got everything just right on this mandolin yesterday, and I thought, man, this thing is looking awesome. I can't wait. Started stringing it up and noticed things were not quite right. I mean, it was right at first. You know, when I first set it up, everything was just perfect. I'm going, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to have this thing done here in a few minutes. And, you know, as I was getting the final strings up to tension and, you know, tuning it and setting the action and the intonation and all the things you do as you're setting them up, this thing's changing. It's not right. You know, it was right for 40 minutes there while I was working on it, but all of a sudden it started not being right. Well, can you say deja vu all over again? That neck, you know, the neck that I did not want to touch, this neck joint, because somebody else had already done it and put it back in there, I thought it was solid. Not so much. It's coming loose. Oh my gosh, I almost cried yesterday. So I went from a crazy high of finishing that Gibson to a crazy low of having to start over on this thing from pretty much from scratch. I mean, the work I did on the truss rod needed to be done, and that's all good stuff still, but let me explain something to you all so that you'll know not to ever do this. Whoever took the neck out of this mandolin did a super no-no. I mean, a huge no-no. Mandolins and violins have a lot of string tension on their necks. Violin necks come out all the time, okay? I mean, that's just, but mostly that's because they're glued with hide glue, and it breaks over time and they come loose. But one of the things that give a violin its strength on its neck and makes it hold as well as it does is the same thing that makes a mandolin neck hold as well as it does. And that's this extra tab that comes off of the body that goes out below the heel of the neck. When you glue that to that heel, that keeps that lever from pulling forward. Well, whoever reset this neck cut that tab off. It has no strength there. So, yeah, that probably killed at least half of the strength of the neck joint. At least half, if not 2/3. That truly is a huge strength on a neck, on a mandolin or a violin. So don't ever cut that tab off. Now I get to fix that. I'm so excited. But that's a side story. This morning I got one of my best friends in my whole life in the shop. Step over here, would you please? We have Leon Pruitt from up at Defiance, Missouri. He's Daniel Boone's neighbor up there. That's where one of the Daniel Boone homes is in Defiance, Missouri. Is that not right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leon and Daniel used to play when they were little boys. Yeah, he's a lot older than me. Like, what, 2 years? We decided
2 years.
2 years older than me. So, but I wasn't old enough to play with Daniel, though. But anyway, Leon brought in a instrument or something for me to look at. What is it, a Martin?
It's a Martin 1979 HD28.
Oh, yeah. I remember this Martin.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to tell you a story while he's getting it out. A long time ago, this was probably, I mean, he probably won't think it was this long ago, but it was at least 15 years ago. He brought this Martin to me. He says, you know, this thing will not stay in tune. It might even be closer to 20 years, by the way, because it was right after I built my new shop up there. And he brought it to me. He says, this thing, you know, whenever I put a capo on it, I have to retune it. It's just not right. Now, this was way before YouTube, and it was in the early days of the internet. So there wasn't as much known about all this stuff, you know. And so I look at this instrument, and keep in mind, at that point, I'm, you know, halfway through my career here, you know, and so I'm not as on top of everything back then as I am now. So I had some doubts, but I look at this thing, and I try to set the intonation on it, and I'm going, that bridge is in the wrong place. So I call Leon up and I tell him that, and he says, it's a Martin guitar. The bridge can't be in the wrong place. And I'm going, well, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't know how, but it's in the wrong place. I'm telling you. So, after doing test after test after test after test, I'm going, that bridge is in the wrong place. Otherwise, you could tell it was one of those guitars that would be a boomer. There's certain Martin guitars that are just boomers, and other ones are sort of okay. Well, this one was going to be a boomer, but yet it's no good when that intonation's that far off. So we agreed to take the bridge off and move it and set it in the right place. So I did that. Well, would you not know, it wasn't 2 days after that, I got an email from Stu Mack, and it was Erlewine talking in there and talking about how a certain vintage of Martin guitars have their necks or have their bridges in the wrong place. So that made us both feel better. I sent him the email too, I remember. He may not remember any of this, but I definitely remember all that. And so anyway, that was my first introduction to that vintage Martin where the bridges were in the wrong place. So, what's all that to tell you what we need to know now? Oh, I can already tell what the problem is.
Super high action, and it lines up with about halfway down the bridge.
I can already tell. Yeah, you don't even have to, just by picking it up, I can tell what the... Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. Ain't that special? We got all kinds of problems. Well, as he's pointing out, we got a big crack here. I can tell the bridge is kind of doing this too. It's not quite right. I'm exaggerating, but it's like that. The action is crazy high. Yeah, you could throw a dog through there and maybe even a St. Bernard at that. So it's, yeah, there you go. We got our work cut out for us on this thing. We're going to have to first inspect it and see what's going on in here. I can see there's quite a bit of pulling right here. It may be loose. It may be a bridge plate problem. That may be what's caused this bridge to crack right across the sound holes, because something's given loose in there, and so it's uneven pulling on something. I really don't know. But we're going to take it apart and figure it out. So here we go. Well, my friends, I have off camera done quite an in-depth inspection on this guitar, and I'm not saying I found everything yet, but I have found a couple of things. One of them is the typical small bridge plate. It is very small. Now, I'm not replacing the bridge plate in this because it's small. It's also chewed up and broken, and it needs to be replaced, period. When I replace it, I'm going to replace it with a bridge plate that's going to be way more resonant than the bridge plate that's in there. It's a piece of maple that's in there now. And maple I don't care what anybody says, it's not as resonant as like a rosewood or a Padauk or whatever. And Martin themselves has changed over quite a bit and very often are using rosewood in their bridge plates now. So, I mean, they've seen the light too, and they're doing it. So it's nothing that they wouldn't do. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to replace this bridge plate with probably Padauk, because that's what I have the most of, and it's crazy resonant. It has such a good sustain. Leon's going to love it when he gets it back, I guarantee you. So that's problem number one. It's the bridge plate. That's letting a lot of this happen. Problem number two, it took me a long time to find it, but the X-brace going through this way has a crack in it down the length of it. And I don't know how far the crack goes, but we can see it about that far. Those two problems for sure, and I don't know what else we'll find once we get in there. Off the top of my head, I haven't looked and done my normal inspection, and that is look down it this way. I'd like to tell you that it looks good, but it don't. I gotta be honest, it don't look good. It's not horrible, it's passable. It's like it's right on the teetering edge. Is this a non-adjustable truss rod, right? Yeah, it's got this, probably the square tube truss rod in it. Yeah, the truss rod wouldn't necessarily be the thing to fix the neck angle anyway. It's not for fixing neck angle, it's for fixing underbow, and there is a little bit of underbow in it, but that part's not too bad. That part's probably fine. But the angle, and I'm exaggerating, the angle is just up a little bit compared to where it should be flat or slightly down. Flat is okay. This one's just a hair above flat. I wished it was just flat. It's almost flat. It's really close, but it's just a little bit up. I don't think it's loose here. Now see, guitars use a different technology. I was telling you about that flap going here, but the thing about the guitar is you got such a long joint here, it doesn't necessarily need the flap for that extra bit of strength. On a little short mandolin neck, on a little short violin neck, there's a lot of leverage pulling on this peg head, and that flap adds a ton of strength to that type of neck. On this case, you don't have that, and I don't see that it's coming loose, so I think we're okay there. I'm going to just wiggle it around just to double check it, but I don't see anything. The other thing I haven't done yet is I haven't tapped on it. The back sounds okay. Let's go to the top and see if we hear anything. Don't actually hear what I would call a loose brace, but we do know that one brace has got a crack in it, but I don't actually hear it rattling or anything. The only other thing we've noticed about this guitar is that there is a little slight crack here and a little slight crack here on the pickguard area. He doesn't think he's been using any chemical type polishes on the pickguard or anything. He said, but years and years ago he may have put a little bit of the Gibson liquid polish, which I know I have done, and I know I've had consequences with that too. And that could be what's causing this little bit of shrinkage. There's not a ton of shrinkage, there's just a little bit of shrinkage, but that is enough to pull that wood there. Other than that, it looks really good. So we do have a little bit of belly here, and I think if I make the right Padauk bridge plate, and we take the bridge off, we put a new bridge on here, and all that, if we do all that properly and really put a big flat caul in there and flatten this all out as we glue it, I think we can pull most of this bulge out of here and improve it. I don't think we'll get it all out, you never do, but you can improve it significantly. And I think that alone might be enough to make it playable. But it's going to be on the edge, and we won't know that till we do all this. So I say we do one thing at a time. We do this first, see where we land here, and then see what we can do about setting it up. If it doesn't look like it's going to set up, we may have to do a neck reset also. We got our work cut out for us. Hope you enjoyed that little update today. We're going to let that be it for now, and we'll see you again tomorrow.